To another episode of SMS Games Talk, and this is CyberPunk 2077 and Phantom Liberty review. I'm going to watch the Ultimate Edition official launch trailer, and then I'm going to give my honest opinions and reviews after completing the game, and also the Phantom Liberty DLC.
Welcome to Night City.
Good old Johnny.
Night City, the rules are different.
Where would be the accent?
Stakes are higher.
The only limit to what you can do is what you're willing to become. Stronger, faster, better. Yeah.
So go ahead and play. But don't forget,
The future is yours for the taking.
Oh, that's good. I'll leave it on that for now. But yeah, after playing Cyberpunk and the main story and then the Phantom Liberty DLC, look, my honest opinions on this game, my Metacritic score out of 10 is not a 10. It's not even a 7. It's not an 8. It's not a 6. This is what I like to call a 500 out of 10. After playing through the main story, and the first, I say, 5 to 10 minutes of playing the game, I didn't think I'd get into it because it had that Far Cry-like first-person, free roam. I wasn't really into any of that stuff. And I thought that's why I never got into the Far Cry's, because I thought to myself, well, I never liked how it was first-person free roam. I always was like the Grand Theft Auto style of free roam, right? So that's why I never got into Cyberpunk. It took me so long to get into it. Now, I got into Cyberpunk at the right time when they did the big major update. They overhauled everything, dropped the Phantom Liberty DLC, and completely just refreshed everything with that major update. Because I heard for so long, that's also another thing that deterred me as well, was not only is it a first-person free roam game, but it's also scrappy. Like when Cyberpunk first came out, it was all over the place. It was glitchy as all hell. I don't know what was worse, Cyberpunk when it first dropped, or WWE 2K20. Like to me, they were both, and if you know about 2K20, not even the 2K originals could save that shit cluster of a mess. But look, they were both, to me, unfinished games. Like, Cyberpunk, when it came out, seemed like they just rushed it. Because of all the hype around it, how big it was with Keanu Reeves playing Johnny Silverhand. It was just all this hype surrounding it, and I felt like they rushed it and they pushed it out because of all the hype. And then when it dropped, it just completely went to shit. With the glitch mess that it was, cutscenes weren't great, the graphics were shocking. And then when I came into it, I'd say 2 years or so later, when they dropped the Phantom Liberty DLC and did the major update, 2-3 years later, I'm like, this game, to me, at first, I'm not going to lie, I found it a bit boring because I found it a bit of a slow burn. So my first half an hour, 20 to 30 minutes in, and I started getting into it, and I started getting invested in the story, and I thought to myself, this game's all right, but it could be a bit better. And then when they introduced the Johnny Silverhand, Keanu Reeves character, in the game, and I thought to myself, oh God, can we get rid of this guy? When you put the chip in your head from the Arasaka Towers and stuff with Jackie, and I started to get into it with Jackie. Don't get me wrong. I really did start to get into it, and that's where the game really took off. Was the Arasaka mission with Jackie, and then also at first I thought, who's this Jackie guy? Right? I found him a bit random, but the story of Cyberpunk, and I'm talking about the main story at the moment, not the Phantom Liberty DLC. I'll get into that in a minute. But the main story does perfect. The reason why I say it's like a 500 out of 10 is because it does a really, really great job of immersing you, getting you emotionally attached. Like when you played the first Last of Us and how you got attached to Joel and Ellie and their story, and then they completely fucking butchered it with the Abby shit in part 2. But CyberPunk really got me invested in V and Jackie's relationship, their friendship that they have, how close bond, like brothers that they are, and then Jackie dies. This isn't spoiler free, so if you want to go play the game, go play the game. I should have said that. This is a spoiler warning. This is full of spoilers. This is just my review on the whole game. So this is going to be full of spoilers. But then they get you, like, all the characters too, like even Evelyn Parker. And she was only in it for like a tiny bit of the game. But when they introduced Pan Am and Judy into it, like Judy being attached to Evelyn and stuff, and everything Evelyn was involved with, and just how dark the game can be, you know, when you're going through that mission to save Evelyn, and it's all fucked, you know, it's all dark, it's all like real evil about how all these, you know, sort of cyborg human things are getting scrapped and getting used as like sex toys and sex slaves, how they take your parts and they just replace parts and stuff, and they make their own essential sex bots. And that's what Evelyn was. She was being used and constructed as a sex bot, and you had to go down to the sex dungeon, or as I like to call it, the rape cave, because that's what it was. Like, and you had to unplug her, and you didn't know whether that was going to kill her or not. And she ends up killing herself in the bathtub at Judy's apartment anyway. Like, it's really dark. You know, this game can be humorous, it can be funny, it can be exciting, it can be very fun, but then it can also beat you down with dark shit like that. You know, really, really beats you down to like, okay, this is dead serious. We're in a very serious mission, and this is dark. You know, and that's what I love about the game is how it just really, really immerses you into the deep feelings and emotions of when you be invested in a game and you give your role to it, like all your emotion, and you really get into it and act like it's real. And I get it, it's just a game. I'm not trying to be like overly dramatic with this. But what I'm saying is when you get immersed in a game as a gamer, you know, and games like this really pull you in. And by like midway through the game, you're like, I'm sitting there and I'm along for the ride. Like I said to myself, what they did with the first person free roam thing, they did it absolute great. I'm not going to say they did it perfect. Even with the major update with the Phantom Liberty DLC drop, it wasn't 100% perfect, but I do appreciate the fact that when you're in a vehicle, even on a motorbike, they allow you to go to that third person behind view like Grand Theft Auto. And that's where I like the bit of give and take, the compromise there. As they say, well, this is first person, free roam game, but we're going to allow you to go into third person when you enter into a vehicle or a motorbike. So the only thing that kind of, and I know it annoyed me a bit about Cyberpunk even now, after even finishing the whole game, I've completed it 100%. Side quests, everything. I completed Cyberpunk main story, Phantom Liberty, and even the side quests. Like, I love this game so much. This is the first game I can actually say I successfully 110% clean slate completed. Like 100% completion. Like, I wasn't going to get off Cyberpunk because I was that addicted to the game. And I haven't played it for several months now because, like, Cyberpunk's one of these things I feel that once you've completed it, once all the side quests, like, you've done everything in the game that there is to do. And yeah, I can go back and do a second or a third or a fourth playthrough like other people. But to me, I'm one of them people where when a game's this good, I want to kind of go a number of years. So then I can't remember as much as what I used to. Even now, I get a bit of brain fog trying to remember things of the game, which is a good thing because I want it to be like fresh and brand new to me. Like I want to go 5 years, 10 years. Like I want this to be one of these games that you come back to and you just enjoy all over again. When people are doing a second and third playthrough straight away, it's great, but it's not as special as your first playthrough. And nothing will ever be as special as the first playthrough. And this game's like an absolute gold mine. It's one of these games that I did not expect to be nowhere near as good as what I thought it was. I thought it looked interesting from all the trailers and all the promotional shit that I watched, and everyone else's spoiler-free reviews and everything. And even when there was spoilers, I still didn't grasp the concept. I still didn't spoil it for me because I didn't understand who these characters were. I didn't know the basis of the story. So to me, it was kind of like, oh, okay. Like when I got around to playing the game, I'd already watched spoilers and shit like 2 years ago. So like I kind of already forgotten. And because I didn't know the basis of the story, it didn't really ruin anything for me. So, and it's not like I went like straight in deep to a full-blown review where someone was telling the whole fucking story and shit. But no, I loved it. And then when I got into the Phantom Liberty DLC, and then you had to rescue the President Rosalind Myers from the crashed spacecraft and everything, and then she turns out to double-cross you and be a bitch. Like, I kind of saw that coming. But I was so excited for the Phantom Liberty DLC. Like, I don't think I've brought a DLC, other than any WWE 2K DLC. That's a given. That's a yearly tradition thing for me. Apart from any WWE 2K games, any other standalone game other than WWE, I have not purchased a DLC quicker than the Phantom Liberty one. You know, and that's what makes CyberPunk so special to me as well, is the fact that I hadn't jumped on a DLC that quick, right, to another game outside of a WWE 2K game. I had not brought a DLC any quicker. I hadn't been so excited to complete a DLC and go through the story. And to me, it wasn't a get it over and done with thing. This was a take your time, because this is the last of what you're going to be getting for a long time. Now, I don't know if they're making a second Cyberpunk game. Apparently, there's been rumors in the works that CD Projekt Red, they're apparently working too much on The Witcher 4 with Ciri and Yennefer and all the rest of it. So I'm pretty sure The Witcher 4 apparently is going to center around Ciri, and she's going to be the main protagonist, the character, playable character, not Geralt, because apparently at the end of The Witcher 3, Geralt sitting in that little cottage house thing, kills himself because he thinks that, you know, Ciri's dead or whatever, however the story goes. But CD Projekt Red's too busy working on The Witcher 4. So, a Cyberpunk 2, I think we're going to get it? From all the hype, from all the excitement that Cyberpunk got before it dropped, and then it all went to shit because of the state that they released it in, and then a couple of years later they dropped the major update, rehauled the whole fucking thing, made the graphics really, really nice, and then also dropped the Phantom Liberty DLC with Idris Elba being Solomon Reed. And how good the Phantom Liberty was too. Just Yarahuku no Harazaka. That's the I think that's Harazuku. I'm getting a bit of brain fog. That girl's name. Let me see. What's her name? That's right. Song Somi. That's right. Somi in the Phantom Liberty DLC. That, I gotta tell you, that being tied into Solomon Reed, Idris Elba's character, that was so good. The way that they introduced him, the way that they introduced Songbird as Somi, that was like, I was already deeply invested. Now, before I get into the Phantom Liberty DLC with Solomon Reed and Somi, I'm going to talk about just the first ending, where you're at the Arasaka sort of psych ward thing or whatever the fuck you're in, and you have to make that decision. Whether or not to allow yourself to be put into the mainframe, and then if they find like a suitable replacement body for you or something like that, right? If they can figure out how to get the construct out of your brain without killing you, then they will. But or you could just go back to Earth and live out your last 6 months that you got left. And stupid me said, you know what would be a good idea? Being put in the fucking mainframe, yeah, because at least you're still alive. That was my way of thinking by the end of Cyberpunk. Was the main story was if you get like I'm sitting there and I'm tossing up, and the thing is with Cyberpunk, I was that invested. I never looked up anything. I never looked up what was the better decision. I never looked up, what happens if you make this decision and what happens if you make the other decision. I never looked any of that up. And it was very tempting sometimes because Cyberpunk with their decision making and giving you that, where sometimes they'll just let you have the full decision, other times you have to make it in a quick time event where the line is about to run out and you have to make up your decision before the time runs out on the line. Those quick time events of making decisions really, really pissed me off because I'm like, I didn't have time to think, but I get it. It was the point of a quick time event, making a quick decision on the spot and not having a fucking clue what to do sometimes. But I never spoiled it for myself. Anything Cyberpunk related while I was playing the game, I never spoiled a fucking thing, no matter how hard the game hits you with decisions sometimes. And that's also another thing that I love that I reckon they mastered in the game. There was a golden masterpiece, a very critical game detail was making that decision. And that decision making, sometimes the decision would be crystal clear, it'd be very fucking easy. You'd be like, well, fuck this, I'm not trusting that person. And it would be very clear cut, like you know what decision to make, obviously. And then there's sometimes where you're sitting there and I'm scratching my head, like, at the end of the game, I was the main story of Cyberpunk. I was sitting there and I'm thinking, that made sense to me. Because I'm like, if you go back to Earth, you got 6 months, nobody can do shit for you, you're going to die, right? Whereas if you get put in the Arasaka mainframe, you've got a chance. You're still some kind of construct. You're still there. But at the end of the day, I didn't know what decision to make. To me, it was a very hard decision. I know to most people it was like very easy. So don't trust those Arasaka bastards. Johnny literally gave his life to fight these fuckers. So don't trust them. And I made the decision to be put in the mainframe. And then as soon as the end credits hit, Never Fade Away comes on. And then you've got everyone from Judy to Pan Am to Victor. Everyone's on there giving you the little video messages. Instantly, I knew I fucked up. Instantly. When I'm listening to Never Fade Away, I put the controller down. My head is in my hands because of how invested in the game I am. And like how much I invested all my emotions and stuff. And that's what happens when you get deeply invested in a game. When you make a wrong decision, and then like Cyberpunk, then the end credits roll, and you got like that song Never Fade Away, and everyone's sending their little video messages. It's like, oh, I fucked up. I instantly knew, like straight away. It took me less than 30 seconds as soon as the end credits. I was like, I made the wrong choice. And you can go back and replay that mission too, with Haninuku or whatever the fucking name is. And then you can choose to go back to Earth. And that's the choice that they decided to base the Phantom Liberty DLC off. The right choice. You told Arasaka to go fuck themselves, and then you went back to Earth to live out your last 6 months, which gives you hope, because in the Phantom Liberty DLC, with the Rosalind Myers shit, and the Solomon Reed and the Somi stuff, Somi's able to help you. She says there is another way to get the construct of Johnny Silverhand out of your head. And she gives you so much hope. And when I saw Somi, I'm like, okay, all right. Look, this strange girl just appeared out of nowhere as like a hologram thing in my head, sort of like Johnny. And I'm like, okay, all right, I'll help this president out. But when we were at that shit shack place where you hide out with the president at the start of the Phantom Liberty DLC, I was thinking to myself, this president chick, she's a bit shady. Like, I instantly got that feeling. I'm like, she's shady. and I don't trust her. I really don't. I feel like, and I called it early. I'm like, without knowing shit, without playing through it, without no spoilers, I was like, I don't trust this fucking president. She's just something shady, something off about her. And lo and behold, I was right. And I'm thinking, well, there's my redemption a little bit off making the wrong decision at the end of the first, like, Cyberpunk story. Being a construct in the Arasaka fucking mainframe shit. And I'm like, well, I never trusted this fucking president. I never did. I was always chose the options to be argumentative or go against her. I just didn't really trust her. And then Solomon Reed, he played, like, Idris Elba played that to a T. Like, I'm sorry to say this, because I know there's going to be a lot of people that are probably going to disagree with me. And I love Keanu Reeves. I love how he played Johnny Silverhand. Like, don't get me wrong. Whenever you took the pill to block Johnny out, it always felt like, at first, I'm like, can we get this fucking construct out of my brain? Like, I didn't like Johnny at first. I thought he was annoying. I thought he was just this little parasite fucking prick on the side of a character. He pissed me off at first. He really annoyed me. I didn't want it. Like, I was enjoying the game until they fucking put him in it. 20 minutes after Johnny's introduction into Cyberpunk, and I said, you know what? I don't want to get rid of this guy. I actually love him, right? And then it gets to the point where you're like, you don't want to get rid of Johnny. You know that the whole game is centered around V. He's a very selfless person. He's always doing things for others. He's always putting everybody else above himself, right? Everything is about how you're doing favors for everyone else and never truly feel like you get repaid back. Even when you do romances and stuff, you never feel like you're getting that repayment back. Like, even when you have the romances with, like, Kerry Aerodyne, and then you've got the other bloke, what's his name? So you got Kerry and River, well, you got River Ward, and he tries to get all romantic on you, and that's something that you can explore. Of course, I was the male V. Why wouldn't I be? But I'm just saying, I guess it's there, like those there. So then, if you want to explore that, and if you're a female V, it makes sense. You know, on both sides, it's not just all these female characters you can romance and get in a relationship with. Like, I felt getting in a relationship with Judy was hard. It was not easy. So I never got into romance with Judy. I always got, like I did with Pan Am though. And to me that was something, because I'm like, I did something right. I must have made a right decision. But I feel like with Pan Am it's much more easier than Judy. I don't know, I could be wrong. I could have just done something wrong. Anyway, I made like the wrong decision. There's a critical point where you could have been in a romance with Judy, answering the questions right and stuff, and I just didn't do it right, so I never got into romance with Judy, but I did with Pan Am. And then with the River Ward, like, no, and Kerry, I'm like, no. I like you as good friends, but no. But I am happy it gives you that, not plenty, but it gives you some options. But the thing is with the romance stuff, with the update, and being able to, in my case, invite Pan Am over, and you could get all the money in the world in the game, and you can buy all the houses, all the apartments and stuff, but it never changes. Like, to me, it never changes. It's the same thing. Every single time I had Pan Am over, it was the same conversations, it was the same thing, except for when you change, like, do one thing in the story, and then you get in a different conversation with her, like set of conversations. But other than that, it doesn't ever change. And that's part of what makes the game a bit stagnant, a bit stale after you've completed everything. After you've done the main story, the Phantom Liberty story, all the side quests, once you've 100% completion of the game, to me it gets stale and it gets boring because there's nothing to do. You know, and look, two things in Cyberpunk is I don't feel like they gave you enough side quests. Like, if you go back and you play Spider-Man PS4 or whatever, right? They give you a shit ton of side quests. Once you finish the game, there's a lot to do. Or even when you play The Witcher, or even when you play something like Skyrim, or, Elden Ring or something like that. Elder Scrolls as well. Like, they've got, and I get those games are so much more different, so it's kind of not fair to compare that to a game like Cyberpunk. But what I'm saying is, I wish Cyberpunk had those levels of side quests, or even something close to it. Because I was able to finish the main story, finish the Phantom Liberty DLC, and finish all the side quests. Once I finished the main, Cyberpunk and Phantom Liberty stories, and I got into the side quests, I was done within the side quests within a week or less. And normally it takes me way longer. Normally, if I'm sitting on something like Spider-Man or whatever, it'd take me like over a month to do this. So for me, and I'm not somebody who's got a lot of time on my hands, and I felt like Cyberpunk was one of those games that was definitely worth a lot more side quests. I don't know, that's just my opinion. And the second thing that really annoyed me was seeing the paramedics and the police come in with their big hovercraft things. And even at the end of the Phantom Liberty DLC, where you go into the surgery and stuff and you're in that hovercraft, you can't actually fly them. You can't jack them and fly them. I don't know whether someone's made a mod on YouTube or something with that, but it would be great to fly one of those hovercrafts around Night City and Dogtown. Maybe not Dogtown because that's a bit smaller, but, even Dogtown actually, even though it's smaller, but more Night City though. It would be great to fly and own one of those hovercrafts. It really annoys me that you can't do that. And even with the auto fixer fucking bullshit, still in the Phantom Liberty DLC, I happen to, jack all these cars and then have this, to me, when he's like, oh, you need to get the car here in 2 or 3 minutes, we'll get the car here super quick, and he puts you on a time frame. And then the auto fixer bloke, I forgot his name. And then you get out of the car. I just stopped, got out of the car, shot everyone, got in the car, drove to the next street, and then there was a bunch of other fucking people coming to shoot me. And you can't have the car be too damaged. That's why I got out of the car and shot at them. But then you're wasting time if you're on a time limit. But I enjoyed it. Honestly, I really did. Out of my nitpicky things of not being able to fly the hovercrafts and stuff, there's a reason for that. The game wasn't built to be played as this big flying simulator thing or anything. It's not like Microsoft's Flight Simulator. I understand that. It just would have been good if they gave you just a little bit more freedom in terms of that. And if they are to make a Cyberpunk 2, they're going to go bigger and better. You just know that if the first Cyberpunk and Phantom Liberty were this fucking good, and they also know not to fuck up too. If they were to make a Cyberpunk 2 in the future, they know, do not release an unfinished game. Release this thing in the most polished way possible. Make sure it's completed. Make sure you've got your day 1 patch ready, or even your day 3 or day 4 patch ready. Make sure. Because people have got their eyes on this. And I reckon there's going to be a lot of hype around this too. If in 5, 6, 7 years' time, they announce not only, how Marvel released, how they were going to do, Disney released how they're going to do all these new movies and stuff, right? And with Simba and all the rest of it. And then you got to Marvel with the Avengers Doomsday and Avengers Secret Wars. And apparently another Blade, so Blade 4 apparently is in the works. And it's I'm still waiting for the Wolverine and Blade games, honestly. I want them, I want the Wolverine and Blade games. I'm waiting for them. But even if if CD Projekt Red was to do something like what Disney and Marvel did, where they say, not only are we releasing The Witcher 4, and here's the official teaser trailer or official gameplay trailer or something, right? But we're also releasing Cyberpunk 2. How fucking great would that be? If, hypothetically, they jumped and they said Cyberpunk 2077. Cyberpunk 2 is going to be labelled Cyberpunk 3080 or something, right? If they did something like that, or 3077, or like 3077 or 3080 or something, and you jumped a bit, and you say, well, how does that connect on from the first one? But you could do distant relatives or relatives of relatives, or you could do you could say V's story is completed. Because at the end of the Phantom Liberty, he just fades off and be's part of the crowd, right? That's his story is done. Which then opens up the door, and I would be quite alright with them establishing a new set of characters, a new story. And the reason why I'd be okay with that is because of how, I'm not going to say perfectly, but how great they finished off V's story. Like, it left a stale, stagnant taste in my mouth at the end of the Cyberpunk, the main story being like, you either become a construct of the mainframe of bloody Arasaka, or you go back to Earth, have 6 months and fucking die. And then Phantom Liberty came in and said, we're going to finish this the right way. You get, and don't get me wrong, it did leave me feeling like, like very heartbroken. Because again, it was when Cyberpunk got real. And it made you feel all these emotions and stuff. When V goes through the surgery at the end of Phantom Liberty, gets the Johnny Silverhand construct taken out of his brain, or taken out of his head, whatever it is, because they're kind of like all android people. So he gets Johnny taken out of his head. The construct's gone. And then you're lying in the hospital bed and you got Solomon Reed there. And he's giving you all this bad news, saying that it fucked with you. You're not able to do the combat stuff. You're not able to be as agile as you once were. And it had been like, like a year or two or something like that. And everyone had moved on. You try calling Pan Am. She's pissed with you because she hasn't heard from you from the longest time. Judy's moved on. Carrie's moved on. Victor is the only one who seems to be doing the same thing. And even when you go to Jackie's partner, I forget what her name was. What was her name? Let me see. You got Jackie Wells. Yeah. It's been a while. It has been a while. Not Claire Russell. Claire was all right. She had that revenge story thing going on. So when it came to Misty, she was like all different and everything when she came back, but like so was everyone else. Like everything was just so much more different, and she seemed like she'd done a complete 180 in her life. But it was when V goes and he goes off to the distance, and you see him literally fade away into the crowd. And just becomes another member of society, just another person out there living their life. Because he can't do anything anymore. You can't do all this crazy, exciting shit anymore. And that's just what the Phantom Liberty DLC left me feeling like. It's just, no matter what you did, no matter what you sacrificed, no matter what you gave up, how much of a selfless person that you were, and the one time you actually think of yourself to get this Johnny Silverhand construct out of your brain and everyone just ups and abandons you. The one time you think V thinks of himself and nobody gives a shit. Nobody's there for him. People they remember what V's done for him, but they don't care. It's like it meant absolutely nothing. And that's why I would be okay with Cyberpunk 2 saying V's story is finished, because at the end of Phantom Liberty, I felt like they completed it. And that's probably the best way that they could have done it too. So that's why I'm not mad at it. That's why I'm not angry about it. That's why I'm saying, well, it actually makes sense. It makes a whole lot more sense. And there's no questions like there was lingering at the end of Cyberpunk. Like, he's got 6 more months to live. He goes back to Earth. what then, right? Does he just lay down and die? Like, what happens? And that's where Phantom Liberty comes in and explains V's still got a bit more left of a story to tell. And how we're going to end it this time is on a basis that makes absolute sense. He goes in, gets the construct out, but it also does some damage. See, it's one of these things where it's a give and take type scenario. In this situation, we can take the construct out. We can alleviate that voice of Johnny Silverhand in your head. But it's going to leave you in a state where you can't do this hand-to-hand combat stuff anymore. Your programming shit, it just doesn't work like it used to. So just go and live your life and be a normal person. There's no exciting stuff anymore to be done. And that's where V's story comes to a close. And that's why I think if they were to make a Cyberpunk 2, it would definitely be a new set of characters, a new story, and I would be completely okay with that because it made sense to how V's story came to an end at the end of Phantom Liberty. And that's just my hot take on it. That's just my opinion. Other people may be feeling stale and stagnant about it, be like, no, we don't like it because V deserves so much more. Don't get me wrong, I'm not disagreeing with the fact that V didn't deserve so much more. He absolutely did. V deserved so much more. He deserved to be riding high on the top of that mountain that him and Jackie were talking about at the start of the game, right? So for it to end like that at such like a sort of like a dark thing of no matter how much V gave and no matter how much he did in Night City and Dogtown, did it ever really mean anything? Because you take out that general cunt in Dogtown, and what happens? A new person comes. Like it's a thing. You think this person's bad. Kill this guy, and another person will come in who's most likely fucking worse. Take that person out, the other person becomes worse because they want revenge for the last two guys who were taken out, the last two leaders who were taken out. Yeah, it's like a never-ending story. You can take out one bad guy, and 5 bad guys will come and replace that person's spot. Or not necessarily 5, but the next bad person who comes in is going to be way worse because they're going to be so fucking revenge-driven on who killed the last general, the last leader of Dogtown, and this type of shit, right? And then Rosalind Myers with the So-Me stuff. Where would I be if I didn't get heavy-hearted into that? That was something, wasn't it? That was heavy. I did not see that coming, and when So-Me is hooked up to the machine and you have to make that decision to put her out of her misery, to either practically kill her or disconnect her from the machine and what decision that's going to make. And you got Solomon Reed telling you one thing and then you got So-Me telling you another thing. Like, who do you listen to? And to me, I listen to So-Me. That was my first initial decision, was to listen to So-Me, to put her out of her misery. It really fucking hurt me to do that too, because of how deeply emotionally invested I was in the game. And I'm like, and Phantom Liberty was perfect because they already had you invested with the first story of Cyberpunk. Then the Phantom Liberty story comes in. That was just a masterpiece. You're already invested. You're already deeply emotionally invested. Now we're going to get you even more invested with the Phantom Liberty. And we're going to bring in these new characters of Solomon Reed and So-Me and make you care about So-Me so goddamn much that when you make that decision, you have to hand her over to Rosalind Myers and she's giving you a medal and being an absolute bitch. I'm like, I fucking knew it. You should have put a bullet in this dog when you had the chance. Like when you rescued her from the crashed USS ship, you should have just fucking put a bullet in the cunt to begin with. Like, I was already feeling off. I was already feeling like I didn't trust her. So, you know, I'm just like, and you weren't to know. Like, for all I knew, she could have given me all these feelings of feeling off, but could have became a very good character and redeemed herself from all the bad chance, but just saying. So, when Rosalind Myers like, oh, here's your medal. And then you can be all like, you make those choices, the word choices to say, well, oh, I'm proud of myself, thank you for the medals, and shake her hand. It's like, no, I'm not shaking your fucking hand. Fuck off, you rotten dog. Nah, fuck off, don't care. And then you got that other decision where you can take Somi to the ship and she can literally fly to the moon or whatever it is. Is it the moon or Mars? I think it's the moon or Mars, one of them. But you got that decision where you can put her in the ship and then Solomon Reed's standing there on the deck and you have this confrontation with him. It's like, I do not want to fucking shoot you. Like, bros, step down. I don't want to shoot you. Please don't make me fucking do this. And you go against him and you know he's pissed. You know he's beyond pissed. And he catches you out and he's standing there. And it's like, I'm thinking to myself in that moment, like, get out of my fucking way. I do not want to shoot you. That's not what this is. You're making me do this, is the way that I felt. I'm like, you're making me fucking do this. If I put a bullet in you, it's because you wouldn't step down, because you just won't fucking listen. You just want everything your way. It can't be your way all the time. I get it. I understand why you want me to listen to you. When you have that last decision to hand her over to Solomon or not, right? And then you just say, nah, fuck yeah, I'm putting her on the spaceship. She's gone. Or you can just say, all right, I'll meet you on the deck. I'll hand her over to you. I've done all the decisions. I love this game so much. I went back and I made all the decisions. I may have not done a second playthrough, but I definitely went back and did all the other decisions. Started the mission over just to fucking see what would happen if you made the other decision. I never looked up the other choices. I just wanted to do it for myself to see. So, yeah. What did I feel better doing? Handing Somi over to Solomon in that situation or putting her in a ship? She's going to fucking die anyway, I felt. Like, by the time she gets to wherever she's going, the moon or Mars, I forget. I'm pretty sure it's the moon. Anyway, when she gets to wherever the fuck she's going, she's going to be dead anyway. Like, she's already on her fucking deathbed when you put her in the ship, so... But it was just this whole thing of Rosalind Myers that I didn't feel good about. Like, making the decision to side with Solomon, that fucking rotten mare bitch Rosalind. I didn't feel right about that. But handing her over to Solomon felt a lot more better than putting her in the ship and just leaving her to fucking die, to be honest. But the Somi thing, oh my God, if you thought like that you had the Judy Everez and the Pan Am Palmer and the Evelyn Parker, and then you also had the Jackie Wells. Like, if you thought that all that was deeply emotional and investing, the fucking Somi and Solomon Reed shit, gets me. It gets me. I know it's just a game, but I'm a true believer that when you really love a game, you allow yourself to be deeply invested in it and emotionally invested in it, as like you're playing it and it is like kind of real life to you. You know it's a game. You know the difference between a game and reality, right? It's just one of these things that you allow yourself to, like with a good movie or with a great TV show. You know, what's it to you what fucking happens? It doesn't impact your life, but at the end of the day, it's all part of it. It's like every time everyone says WWE is a soap opera. It's not real, it's fake, it's scripted. So is everything else. So is your favourite movie, so is your favourite game, so is your favourite TV show. Does that mean that you should stop liking it because it's predetermined? Because it's on a script? Because it's not real? You know? Reality TV shows. People can be jacked to the heavens on watching that. At the end of the day, like if they want to watch something like Jersey Shore or the Keeping Up with the Kardashians or some bullshit like that, at the end of the day, we all know this is on a script. We all know reality TV. We all know. But at the end of the day, if it's what you enjoy and what you get emotionally invested in, that's your choice. It's what you enjoy. And that's why I never shoot myself for getting so invested in these games, because for me, I can be very picky. I can be very pig-headed about my decisions with music, with games, with movies, TV shows, you name it. I can be very picky. especially when it comes to games and music are the two main things I'm really nitpicky with. And it may not seem like that from my other YouTube channel of SMS Productions. It may seem like I come across new music very easily. But trust me, I'm very picky with it. And even with games, I'm very, very nitpicky at what I get invested in. If I think a game's not really worth it. Like, for example, COD's all right, but it has to be the right story. World War II and Ghosts at the moment, because I haven't played any of the other ones. I haven't played Modern Warfare 2. I haven't played any of the other ones, Cold War or anything like that. I haven't played the newer Black Opses. I've played Black Ops 3, but I haven't played Black Ops 4, 5, or 6 yet. So what I'm saying is, Call of Duty World War 2 and Ghosts. I say first Ghosts and then World War 2, but they had good stories. They had good campaign stories. And Ghosts for its time on the Xbox 360 had all right graphics back then. I mean, not to today's standards, but back then when it was released, it was pretty good. COD's always done a good job of doing that. But I'm just saying. So that's just my take on it. I cannot give Cyberpunk and Phantom Liberty DLC any more credit than what I already do. This has been my review on it, though. So, as always, thank you for watching this episode of SMS Games Talk, Cyberpunk 2077 and Phantom Liberty review. And as always, if you're not streaming it, it ain't worth shit. Take care, guys.